they are a very, very old breed. They go back before the Ming Dynasty, some say thousands of years. They're supposed to be one of the first breeds that split off from the gray wolf, Shar-Pei and Shiba Inu. So they're what they call a primal breed, which means there's less other breeds introduced into their gene pool. They're more close to the original Canis lupus, the gray wolf.
Mm-hmm.
They're closer to it than a lot of breeds are. So they're what they call a primal breed, closer to the original. So it's a very, very old breed. And they were used for guarding, hunting, basic work dogs. They were not the laid back, sit on the couch. You'll have people tell you that they guarded the temples and that they were this or that or the other. And the reality was they were the poor man's dog. They were the farmer's dog.
Right.
They were a working dog, hunting and guarding, protection.
And what are the traditional Shar-Peis being used today in China for?
They're not really used as a working dog like they once were. They are bred by a few Shar-Pei fanciers, but dogs are not as big a part of the culture in a sense that they are in the U.S. as far as showing and sporting.
Mm-hmm.
So they're better suited for the work, but they're not really doing so much of the hard work that they've done in the past there anymore either, as time has passed and the need for it is not as much as it was in the early days. I would love to see that. They're so good in agility, and in fact, I've got some photos that I'll be sending to you on, some of the action shots and their work in agility.
Mm-hmm.
Most of all, I'd like to see them be healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And, I deal with a lot of pet owners that are heartbroken because I run that large health group.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to see less heartbreak and less suffering. Ideally, we would get more towards a mix between the two varieties that was as low risk as possible. But that's not something I'm probably going to see in my lifetime in the next 20 years or so. So it's something that I am, envision breeders cooperating, breeders heading back to the basic core of the breed, which is the traditional, and finding a happy medium between the two that will make them happy with what they're breeding while being at lowest risk of health issues.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love to see them in the show ring. I'd like to see them recognized as their own class or own group, variety within the group of the Shar-Pei. Right now there's the brush coat and the horse coat variety, but I'd like to see there be a traditional variety recognized by AKC.
Mm-hmm. When you first started with the Shar-Pei, did you show your dogs?
Yes, I used to show them very frequently. We used to be out every weekend. This is back when they were CSPCA, Chinese Shar-Pei Club of America, before we were AKC certified. In recent years, I don't show so much because it's a lot of work on a bad lower back.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where they're rewarding dogs that have unhealthy traits. So I don't really believe in the beauty competitions or conformation showing of our current mother club, the Chinese Shar-Pei Club of America, and the AKC. I think they've headed in the wrong direction, and I just can't support that as being of major importance over health. We're not breeding health first, and we need to be breeding health first as an overall group. Well, what would have to happen is the mother club, the Chinese Shar-Pei Club of America, would have to petition to have the standard adjusted.
Right.
That's just not going to happen. I've spoken out about it and been harshly criticized for even bringing the subject up. There are people in the majority in the club that feel that a standard is an edict handed down from God. And they're not realizing that it's human-made things that can have flaws in it.
Mm-hmm.
And right now our standard is flawed because it's still promoting heavily wrinkled dogs, and that's what the judges are choosing.
Mm-hmm.
So, most of our work is probably going to be in the next 10 years is going to be working with them in agility and possibly in obedience. So, confirmation, we're not going to do a whole lot with. I mean, we can enter all the shows we want. And in Europe, they have some that are doing fairly well on the shows now, but it was a great big fight for them to get that recognition. Mm-hmm. They're ahead of us there on this. Mm-hmm. We're just starting out on this in the U.S. and Canada. Mm-hmm. So we've got years of work to come on this before we're going to get any changes made. And there's a lot of resistance.
That unfortunately there's so much resistance and too much money involved.
Yeah.
Some of these big time show breeders that they have the ability to stop a lot of movements, unfortunately.
Yes, they do. Mm-hmm. They absolutely do. Mm-hmm. You make a lot of enemies trying to do anything new. People are resistant to change. And, I wrote an article called The High Cost Acute, and you can probably find that on the traditional Shar-Pei discussion group. Mm-hmm. But it talks about how the buyers also, they're the ones with the power. And so if we educate the buyers to go a little bit back, less on the wrinkle when they're choosing, then they're going to have better outcomes, and the breed is going to have a better outcome.